You'll be back, and the room will be twice as full.
If you're going to close the meeting, you can close the plant.
We're not going to come. Just shut up. Let's hear from the truth bearer.
That's why we like
In the kite.
Expressed their concern. And while we had a presentation that was to provide some information on Fukushima and responses, we will offer that if there are people who are still interested in this presentation, we do have slides, and they can also talk to us at that after the meeting. However, given the interest of people who want to speak, we will change our agenda here, and we will go directly to questions. Okay, thank you.
We're going to get started with that. We're going to ask people to come up. We're going to ask them to step over here to this microphone. We're going to call 3 people at a time. We have approximately 70, maybe 80 people who want to ask a question. We have approximately 2 hours to do that. So we're going to have to ask people to make their statement in about a minute, minute and a half. Move on, answer questions, move on to the next. Okay. I do have a couple of state officials that have indicated that they wanted to make a statement. Joseph O'Brien.
A minute and a half.
Thank you.
About a minute, minute and a half. And after that, Manager Green. Are there any other state or local officials who want to make a statement? Please come up. Come up. Please. Stand behind Manager.
Ready?
Yes.
I'm Joe O'Brien. I'm representing Congressman Elliot Engel, who is in Washington today across Congress's session. As the nuclear power plant closest to the most densely populated area in the country, Indian Point poses a major potential threat to the safety, security, and economy of the United States. The recent tragedy in Japan showed just how devastating a nuclear malfunction can be, and it is essential that every possible measure be taken to prevent a similar situation here. Like the Fukushima plant in Japan, Indian Point lies near fault lines. Seismic history suggests that these should not pose a threat to the plant, but the same was said in Japan, where no one predicted the enormity of that quake and the following tsunami. Among the dangers with Indian Point are more than 20 million people who live within a 50-mile radius of the plant and have no effective evacuation to deal with any crisis that may Indian Point is also an obvious security threat as any terrorist. Al-Qaeda included attacks on nuclear facilities in its considerations, and plans for such plans were found in Afghanistan. Indian Point's potential vulnerability showed up when a plane headed for the World Trade Center on September 11th flew over the plant. Further, the 40-year-old nuclear facility has persistently been an environmental liability for the area, with almost continuing leaks, unplanned shutdowns, and excessive killing of aquatic life. Indian Point's safety record is abysmal. Let me quote from the New York Times of May 9, 2000. The plant has encountered a string of accidents and mishaps since its beginnings and has appeared on the federal list of the nation's worst nuclear power plants. Achilles heel of this and other atomic energy plants is the steel fuel rods. Spent is a relative term. They are still lethal if their storage is disrupted. That's why I introduced legislation to require these rods to be dried cast within 1 year of being qualified for such a procedure. What the Nuclear Regulatory Commission should do for its part is use the same criteria when it considers relicensing a plant as it would for a new nuclear plant. I believe this would mean Indian Point would not be relicensed and consequently introduce Congress legislation requiring that they do this. The stakes are too high to continue ignoring the threat of Indian Point poses for the New York metropolitan area specifically and the nation as a whole. If the crisis in Japan has taught us anything, it is that we cannot afford to wait until the problem gets out of control to begin addressing it. The fact that 20 million people could be in grave danger if an accident of any cause took place should be ample reason to close a well-maintained facility, much less one with Indian Point's spotty record.
Good evening. I'm Joe Green. I'm the Environmental Director for Hudson River Clearwater. I'm also a member of the town board of the town of Rosendale, which is within the 50-mile peak injury zone, which should become the evacuation zone. However, the entire greater metropolitan area will be impossible. Two of my city, and within minutes, this area would become enveloped in gridlock. In the wake of the ongoing and devastating nuclear disaster at Fukushima Daiichi, Hudson River Sloop Clearwater has joined 45 organizations petitioning the NRC to immediately suspend all licensing and relicensing activities at 21 reactors, either new ones or existing reactors, until the lessons learned from Fukushima can be incorporated into these proceedings. There is precedent for this with 3 Mile Island when the NRC paused or created a year-and-a-half moratorium to do exactly that. NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act, requires that study be done, and it should be done by an independent presidential commission with the full participation of the full spectrum, not just industry, not just NRC, but those experts outside of that inner circle that have a great deal of knowledge to contribute. At minimum, we need the moratorium.